Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble while following us on Facebook, or find us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for past episodes, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe or follow today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, comment. Also, don't forget to listen wherever or follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today, from the echoes of war, 20-year retired Army veteran with 68 months deployed between Iraq, Bosnia, and Afghanistan. Author of Echoes of War, CEO of nonprofit Heroes Voice Media Foundation. Let's welcome the first time to the seance, Donald Dunn.
Oh, I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And again, officially, thank you very much for your service, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So I would consider this a little bit of a special show because it just seems like lately those who have served for this country have been getting very little credit where credit is due. Could you share a little bit of your story on your experiences during your deployment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came in 94, and my first deployment happened in 98. I went to Bosnia. I was with a mechanized infantry unit out of Germany. And after that, I volunteered for the special ops community. I went to the 160th, and 2000. I went there on 2000 and 2002. February was my first deployment after 9/11 there. That's where the majority of my deployments came from. I did, it was the way the rotations worked. It was 3 months Iraq, 3 months 3 months back to States, 3 months Afghanistan, and it just kept on rolling. You know, we we kind of got buffaloed in a way. And I say that because as we trained, we knew how dangerous our job was. But when you go from 2002 to 2005 in a cycle like what we did, I think myself and a lot of others kind of thought it had became like work. You got up, you went to work, you did your job, you went home. You didn't expect anything to go wrong. It hadn't in so many years. And 2005 was the first year that we lost anybody since 9/11 had started. Yeah. And, June 29th of 2005 was when I first heard that we had lost an aircraft. It happened that night. So it happened on the 28th in Afghanistan. If anybody has seen the movie The Lone Survivor, the story will be real familiar. But we sent in an aircraft. I had left Afghanistan about 10 days, 2 weeks, somewhere around there, to rotate back to the States for no other reason than it was just my turn to go back. It was a normal rotation. And about, like I said, 10 days, 2 weeks later, that mission came up where they needed to infill some more SEALs to help the unit that was on the ground. And so we sent 3 aircraft in, and the one that was infilling the SEALs got shot down, and lost 16 people total that day, 8 SEALs and 8 members of the 160th Crew Chief. Their call sign was Turbine 33, and it was an awakening, I think, for a lot of us. It was a very harsh reminder, and everybody got to see the full fledged of what our business really does include. And it's tough, man, because there that kind of a rotation, there isn't that grieving. You don't get that grieving period, man.
No.
Those members had to be replaced, and other people had to rotate, and the war just kept going. That was 2005. None of us knew how long this war was going to last. We could tell at an early stage that it wasn't going to be as quick as what everybody anticipated. But I don't think anybody that says that they knew it was going to be 20 years, I would have to kind of throw the BS flag out there,
Yeah.
But, it was tough, man. And then I continued to do more deployments, and finally I just got to the point where I just didn't want to deploy no more. I was slowly getting put into a mindset that probably wasn't healthy. And I was getting old. I was getting, the closer I got to retirement, the least the more I didn't want to deploy. And as I got older, it got harder to keep up with those 19-year-old kids, and I moved on and ended up doing one more deployment with Third ID. Did 9 more months in Iraq, and after that I was definitely done. I had decided I'm definitely retiring. And so I got out of the military after that deployment, and I definitely was not in a good mindset by that point. I was angry about everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, where the real story from the book starts is it talks about how I was before the deployments, and then it goes into how I was after the deployments. And it was 2 different guys. Before, I was that guy that liked to be surrounded by people and making everybody laugh and just having a good time. And, after the deployments, that wasn't the same guy. I was just mad about everything. Angry at my family, angry at, I took a lot out on my son. And that's where the book came from. Whenever the family would ask me what's wrong, I would just tell them nothing, or they'd ask me how the deployment went. Same as usual. Good.
Mm-hmm.
My wife would see me having bad dreams, and she'd ask me what's wrong. I'd just tell her a bad dream, and she'd say, well, what was it about? And I'd lie and say, I don't remember, and go about my day. So, she knew that things wasn't all right. I mean, we didn't sleep in the same bed for like 2 years because she got tired of getting elbowed and hit and everything else. And so she knew. She just never got to hear it from me, So I wrote that book. Originally, it wasn't necessarily designed to be a book. It was more of an explanation to my family about what I had gone through. I got out of the military, and I probably found the worst job for somebody in my mindset to do, and that was I opened up my own business and started driving truck for myself. So I put myself isolated in a small little truck, driving 11 hours a day with nothing but time to think. And, it just probably helped me get further and further down that hole that I was digging. I put my family in a financial issue bind. I put, myself more further and further away. It got to the point where I had anxiety just coming home, and I got to the point where sometimes the anxiety was so high, I would stop 35 miles short of coming to the house and saying, "Hey, I ran out of hours. I'm not going to make it home." And I'd spend the weekend 35 miles from the house in my truck and then go right back out again, just because I didn't want to go home and create fighting and everything else, because that was the only thing that got rid of the anxiety. Was I had to lose my cool and blow up. And ironically, I think everybody in that situation has what they call kind of an aha moment, and it's probably one of the most dangerous time frames for anybody in that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
because when you have that moment, you're going to make a decision, and probably a permanent decision, on which road that you're going to walk down. Um, luckily for myself, I chose to get help on that day, and some people don't. Some people continue deeper down that hole, and there may not be another aha moment to stop the inevitable. So I consider myself lucky in that aspect. Lucky as in I got the right doctor. I didn't go through the VA. I got a civilian therapist, psychologist. So he started me on that path of help. And the good part is now you're thinking in the right mindset. The depression has lifted. You kind of start seeing things in a clearer path. And then the bad part of that is now you're seeing clearly, and you look back and you see all the damage that you did in the past.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we realize that the good part is now you can start fixing these things. You can take ownership of them. You can take responsibility for them. You can work through the things that you've got to do to be able to forgive yourself. Then you can start accepting the fact that there is a new you. You're not that same person before the trauma that happened. And you can start working on beginning to love yourself again. I think all of those things are extremely important, and at the same time, extremely hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It
So,
is. It is a challenge.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so that's where I wrote the book for, was just to give my family an explanation without having to have a conversation. I wanted them to hear how I wanted to put it and the words I wanted to use, and not have to focus on, did you understand, and explain rabbit hole type stuff where you kind of wave off the conversation. My daughter's the one that actually convinced me to publish it. And I really, I joked with everybody when I wrote it. They asked me where I was going to sell it, and I told them it'll be listed in every pharmacy right next to the melatonin. You know,
Yeah.
so, but surprisingly, it actually did really well, and I didn't anticipate it. So I'm honored and blessed that people, gave me their most precious thing, and that's time. They sat down to read it, and I've received some amazing comments on it. And so, I'm blessed. I hope it helps some people figure out that one tough decision, man. And, in my book, that's one thing I talk about, is each of us make a decision whether or not we want to talk about that trauma with our loved ones. And in a war like ours, where you spent 20 years fighting, people forget that, and it still to this day blows my mind. We had soldiers enlist in the military and spend 20 years, retire at the end of it, and has fought the same war from the time that they was fighting at basic training all the way to the end, to their retirement.
Wow.
But you think about that and how long the war lasted. If you came in 2002 and you retired in 2022, you fought your whole career. Your whole career was around combat,
Yeah.
in and out of deployments. Different units, different strategies, different experiences, and then you're supposed to come back and just shut that off.
I think, I think the majority of the American people who have never served have And it's nothing against everybody. It's the way it is. It's
Right.
just a complacency of being in the civilian world for so long. We're used to it. We take so much for granted being a civilian.
Yeah.
And it just, people need to step outside of themselves and take a look to see how it actually really, what's really going on behind the curtain, so to speak. And there's a lot of stuff that we're not told.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. People ask me if I believe in God, and I believe in something. I don't know if it's necessarily um, the dictionary definition of what a God is, but I believe in energy. I believe in a maker, um, regardless of what you want it to look like, or who you want it to look like. And the reason why I say that, I don't know if before the military I really was there. And I'm not a churchgoer. I couldn't recite anything about the Bible. But what I did see was evil. I seen things happen that you have to ask yourself, do I want to believe that a human is capable of doing that? Or do I want to believe that there is something out there evil that causes people to do something like that? And again, I can't prove the right answer, but if you believe in evil, then you have to believe in the balancing to it of a maker or positive energy, whatever you want to call it. You can't have one without the other. And so that's the best way I could put it to civilians is just understand that there is things out there that you don't see, you don't know, and not to judge when you hear the stories because they may seem kind of unreal. A lot of things happen in combat that people just don't. It's like no way could that ever happen. Um, and it's the same story from just about every veteran. Veterans that have spent a lot of time over there will tell you, I don't know how I made it back. I had so many close calls that how was that one not mine? I mean, I was in a truck and had a mortar round hit the ground so close to us that it blew gravel and dirt and everything to the side of the truck. So the whole force was coming that direction, but the mortar round never went off.
Oh man.
Had it gone off, it would have destroyed that truck and probably us in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that was uncommon. That a lot of the ammunition and explosives that they use over there was old. Hadn't been kept in the best environments, so it did happen. But again, what stopped it from happening?
Yeah. And being in combat, I mean, dodging gunfire. You don't know where those rounds are going, but you're running, you're trying to hide, and especially in places and that's the thing too. It's the environment. You could be in the desert. There's no place to hide. You just run.
Yep. Look for something hard and get behind it.
Yeah.
It is crazy, man, and that's kind of what led to my podcast that I started. My podcast started all this off. I've never been that guy to sit down, especially the new me is not that guy that sits there and thinks a lot of things through.
Yeah.
And so, we had a few soldiers commit suicide, and so me and my old first sergeant, we called it a podcast. I don't know what it really was when we first started, but we'd release one video a week, and we'd every Friday we got on Facebook and went live and just reached out to old soldiers that we served with and was just trying to bring people back into our fold, and we always filmed it in his gun room. We always drank beer or liquor or whatever. And so when we named it, we called it Two Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. That was the name of our, And again, we didn't care if the name, made people mad or not, because it wasn't really meant to be anything but for our soldiers that we served with. We didn't expect it to go out there.
Yeah.
And and it was kind of funny because we got a mixed bag of rocks. Some people hated us, some people loved us, and it is what it is. But what I did find out is about 3/4 of the way through season 1, I discovered what real therapy was. Um, and that was because I was talking to veterans and talking about stories that I hadn't even shared with my family.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing it live on Facebook or whatever, forgetting that we're even recording. The conversations would just get that in depth that we forgot that we weren't even, that other people were watching this. And so when I discovered that, man, I wanted more of it because it felt good. When I got done podcasting, I felt good about what I've done and what I've talked about, and sometimes things got easier as the more often that I spoke about them. So I didn't want to stop. And at the end of season 1, my buddy kind of went off, and I kept it going. And now we've rebranded it. It's now called Spirits and Stories with Donald Dunn. We're in season 3, and man, I still do it for the same reasons.
Yeah.
I just love meeting new people and talking. But that podcast brought me a support group that I worked with that helped me with my anger issues. That podcast brought the radio station because it brought me veteran musicians that I seen were struggling trying to make a living because they couldn't get through Spotify's algorithms and all these other um, online algorithms that they needed to
Mhm.
get known. And the only way they could get paid is through actual gigs on a stage, because streaming music and all that type of stuff doesn't pay the bills, you
Yeah.
know? So I came up with one of my harebrained ideas, and I said, man, why don't we just start a radio station? And Facebook heard me, and I seen an ad that said, start your own radio station for $39.95. And so I said, well,
Right
that's
on.
it, man. I'll do it. And so I signed up and had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know nothing about copyright. And I just thought people were going to give me their music and I was going to play it and life
Yeah.
would be good. And it took a lot more schooling than that. And I ended up turning it into a business so I could get it going, and got licensed through BMI and through ASCAP, and had a couple great organizations help me called Operation Encore, and another artist, a Navy veteran named Shannon Book. They got me to where I at least could understand what I was doing, and we called it Gunroom Radio at the time.
There you go.
And so, I mean, a lot of good stuff came from this, man. So I would never change anything. I really wouldn't. It's important that you understand that you took the road you took to finally be put on the path that you were meant to be on all along. And
Mhm.
if you don't travel that road, you're not going to get to where you're supposed to get to. And I'm finally there. I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. Let's get into we got 3 websites scrolling at the bottom. Heroesvoicemediafoundation.org, veteransvoiceradio.com, and wordsfromwarriors.org. Where I took a look at these and stuff, and explain these three different platforms.
So we ended up starting and turning all this into a nonprofit, and the nonprofit is called Heroes Voice Media Foundation. And underneath that nonprofit, we got 3 projects that we do. One is a streaming podcast program to help veterans get into podcasting or broadcasting, help them get the equipment that they need, give them some classes, lessons. For the ones that have been doing it for a while and are looking to pursue it maybe for a career or more full-time, whatever. We also have a Roku channel for them. And that program is called Military United Podcast Streams. Then we have the radio station, which is veteranvoiceradio.com. There we've got three stations. We got a mix station called Veteran Mix. We've got a country station called Simplify Country, and we've got a rock station called Ranger Rockwave. And
Nice.
all of these are veterans that are pursuing careers in the music industry. It's either a veteran or a veteran's dependent are the people that are eligible. We play every song that's given to us. It doesn't matter. We got some that are just using it for therapy. They're writing songs and telling their story and documenting their time. And then there's others that are out there living in a van, traveling from state to state to state, trying to make it. And so, we've got all mixes, and the big goal from that is to help them get gigs, help connect them with people. We've had some really cool things happen. We've had several artists that got invited to Zach Brown's Camp Southern Ground for Hero Week. It's a songwriting convention brought on by Zach Brown. So that was really cool that people reached out and invited those artists to those. The other thing is we've had a few artists, and I don't take any credit for it. These guys have got careers and they've been working hard. But there's been a few of our artists that actually got licensed or labeled from some pretty big names.
Wow.
So I think it's really cool of what it became. The big goal hasn't got there yet. Our goal is to create what's called the VMAs, the Veteran Music Awards. And we want somebody like George Strait or another veteran that has made it in the industry and served the military host it. And 10 to 12 bands, man, red carpet, the whole paparazzi and everything, and like I tell people, these guys may not be the next Garth Brooks, man, but for that one day, they can be. And hopefully it raises some good money for some sort of veteran charity. A lot of people didn't know it, but there's a Miss America veteran pageant, and it's done exactly like the Miss America pageant, except they raise money for homeless shelters for female veterans with kids. And the whole program is designed to help that one thing. And I think that is really cool. It allows these veterans to compete. It allows these veterans to interact, make new friends, feel that camaraderie again, and help an amazing charity. So that's where I want the radio station to go to. And then the last one is wordsfromwarriors.org, and that's our author program. So we help people, one, start writing a book if they don't know how. We help them get published. We help them with, getting their book promoted, getting it sold. So that's one thing that you can do from Words from Warriors is you can buy a book that has been vetted and the author is a veteran. Any of the links you click on will take you straight to their Amazon page, and you can buy it from Amazon. We don't sell the books ourselves. And the other thing we did is we started a magazine from that program as well. So the veterans also write for our magazine. It comes out once a quarter, so four episodes a year. It's $25 a year for a subscription. It's digital, and it helps the artists or the authors promote their books. It keeps people in tune with what's going on in the veteran community. And all the authors have full reign to write about whatever they want. Some choose to write fiction, some choose to write about their stories. And it gives them an outlet and a creative spot and place to hone their skills. So that's in a nutshell, man, what our programs are about. When I chose these, I decided I wanted to celebrate the wins, man. I didn't want to focus on PTSD. There's a lot of organizations out there that help with mental health way better than I can.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot out there helping people once they've got through it, pick up their dreams that they put on hold while they served our country. And so that's where I wanted to fit in. help people network to build their dreams.
Absolutely. There's a reason you're here, brother. Definitely.
And that's what I tell people, man. Once you get on that path that you're supposed to be on, man, the world gets lifted off your shoulders.
Oh yeah.
I always want my dream. I always wanted to own my own business, and I did. And I did it for 6 years. And guess what? I still wasn't happy. That's not where I was supposed to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's every now and then, when we go for training and or just show up on base, well, everybody is there sharing, whether they're a coastie, army, marine. I mean, it's a joint base, so there's people from all different branches. Though every now and then we'll just have a little bit of downtime, and somebody will just share their story from their last deployment or whatnot. And I tell you, some of it just wow, it's amazing.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's like it's a movie, man. Like somebody sat down and wrote a script. Some of the stuff is hard to believe, And I say that as a person that before my first deployment, back in '98, we were getting the old crusties that did Desert Storm, And so we would hear some of those stories. And back then, he was like, you seen somebody with a combat patch. You were like, oh my God, there's a guy with a combat patch. He is fought, And so everybody would want to hear some of those stories. And yeah, if we got time, I share a really funny one that I always talk about.
Go right ahead, man. Go right ahead. Absolutely.
As a young soldier. So we were talking with one of these old crusty E5s, and he was telling us about how they had stopped. And if you've ever been in the desert, man, it can get a couple things. It can get really, really dark, even though there's no trees and no nothing out there. And it can get also really, really cold. And so, the war is moving forward, and they stopped, and they all got into their position. And there was a young private that was on the 50 cal. And this old crusty that was next to him. And that private was scared. He thought he seen something move, or he thought he heard something, and so he just let go. Bah! He said all they heard was pop, 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 wah, pop, 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 wah. And they said when the sun came up, there was a herd of dead camels.
Oh,
he said he had to hit that private in the head to get him to take his finger off the butterfly switch because he was just holding it down. He was so scared.
Oh man.
But those are real events, real things, because you meet different people from different strokes and everything's a mixing pot. You're talking people from different backgrounds, and they're saying, okay, we're going to work together so we live.
Yeah.
Only in the military, man. That's where it happens.
Yeah. You learn it takes teamwork to survive.
Yeah.
It's not just trying to keep yourself alive. If you can keep your team alive, you're gonna stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah. All the petty stuff gets left behind. The fighting and the hating each other for stupid nonsense stuff. While you're over there, one, you don't want to make anybody else mad because guess what? They have live rounds too. And two, you're going to need them. It takes everybody. So,
yep, you get a ration that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just little things like a lot of people don't think about. I got to get up and go to the bathroom, so I just walk down the hallway and I go to the bathroom. Well, not over there. You don't. You're going to get up and you're going to walk a quarter mile down to a porta-john or a piss hole, depending on how early the war was.
Yeah.
We literally, my first toilet in 2002 for my first deployment was we found a old phone booth. And so we took this phone booth and we cut a hole where you would sit to talk on the phone. And we put a toilet seat on it. We cut the back out of it and put half of a 55-gallon drum and then hung a sign that said, don't piss where you shit. because later we had to burn it. And if it was full of piss, it's hard to burn, you know? So you'd walk out of the phone booth, and then we had piss tubes, dug 3 feet down in the ground for you to take a leak, So just the change of life of how things went. We had a washing machine that ran off of Humvee parts and generator parts and a 5-gallon fuel can, and that's how we got the washing machine running. Just so we could. And all this was stuff that we found in a dump. Luckily, part of the grounds in Kandahar contained a leftover pile of crap. Cars and scrap metal and everything else. And so you made what you could make out of it.
Yeah, the simplest things that we take for granted in the civilian world just go right out the window. I mean, I remember when we had basic, it was our barracks don't have a bathroom. You don't have a bathroom in the barracks. At least the original ones, the old ones. And somebody was complaining because you had to walk like a half a mile. You had to get off your bunk. I had top bunk, so trying to get off the top bunk in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I tried to avoid that as all possible. I didn't drink anything before bed. Got up on top bunk, done. All right, don't have to get up. But there were nights you had to get up. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
You have to, but so you're like, all right, get out of the bunk, and literally, just you have to walk a half a mile just to take a piss. It's like,
Yep. It is a whole nother world, man. It really is.
Yeah. Thank God you didn't need a battle buddy.
Yeah. Oh man, you would not have had good friends.
Oh, I would not have. Oh gosh.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It is a trip, man, and I think there's a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff that has came from this too. I think there's more mom and pop nonprofits now than there ever was to help veterans. From people that are putting on hunting trips. There's a guy in Colorado that does just like really hard things like mountain climbing or jet skiing and stuff like that. And he takes a few veterans and all their family members. They do these hard things that they want to do, whether it be rock climbing or whatever. And then afterwards, they have some time with the family to talk and do some therapy with not just them but their family. I mean, there's a lot of amazing programs out there. Yeah. And I think that is one positive thing that has came from all of this,
Yeah. Wow. So before we wrap up the show, and again, let people know where they can find your book and where they can go and find your work and organizations.
So if you want the book, it's called Echoes of War, The Silent Transition of a Soldier. You can find it on Amazon. The best place to get it, if you want a signed copy, you can go to wordsfromwarriors.org and you can buy it from there. That way you're guaranteed to get it from me. There's already people selling it on Amazon. That's not me. Mm-hmm. And you won't get the same copy. The book won't be signed. But you can also go to Heroes Voice Media Foundation. .org. Our link tree is also there, so you can find any links. If you're a veteran and you want to inquire about any of our programs, everything we do other than a subscription to the magazine is completely free. It does not require any sign-ins, no logins, no nothing. The radio station is free to listen to. If you're a veteran, everything's free. We don't have any paid programs. So if you want help writing a book, feel free to reach out. We'll help you. If you want to start podcasting, if you were a musician, whatever your case is, if you just want to share your story, reach out to us and we can probably help you. I've got over 200 episodes off my podcast. So if you're looking for a certain program, I can probably help you find that program and connect you with them. So our programs are about networking and helping you pick up your dreams and carry on. So veteranvoiceradio.com to listen to the radio station, wordsfromwarriors.org for the books, and Heroes Voice Media Foundation if you just want all of our link tree and social media and so forth.
Yeah. Cool. And after we get done with the recording, if you can just stay on for a moment,
Absolutely.
in the studio, got a couple things to share.
Okay.
So before we go today, what do you have as a takeaway for our audience today?
Something to remember, man, is PTSD is trauma, and the symptoms of it are human symptoms. They're human reactions to trauma. So don't always think that just because somebody's talking about mental health that it's with a veteran. There's a lot of people that never served that have trauma and need just as much help as everybody else. And so kind of let's start moving off this stigma that PTSD equals veteran. And there's just a lot of misnomers out there. So
yeah, absolutely. Donald, blessings, my friend. Thank you again for serving, and thank you again for your presence on our show. And you're welcome back anytime. And let me know if you need any help with anything. I'd be more than willing to serve in any capacity in helping you in your endeavors as networking and stuff like that. So
okay, absolutely.
so,
And if anybody out there wants to get involved, the one thing that we definitely do need is DJs. We are always looking for people that want to DJ on the radio station. So
there you go. I did some DJing in the past, but it was more like just playing. Well, yeah, playing music, live, like weddings and all kinds of stuff. So and then doubling as the photographer.
only us older people will get this, but we are looking for the WKRP in Cincinnati.
There you go,
DJ.
Yeah. That was a good show.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome. Donald, blessings. God bless, Godspeed, and good luck, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You are very, very welcome. Thank you, everybody, for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Seance. And until next time, we'll see you then.